So, let's start with Bryce Young. I watched the All-22 of his performance with the Panthers against the Atlanta Falcons. They did not let him do much, but I think the Texans dodged a bullet in not drafting Bryce Young, truly, and in not having the first overall pick. Because they probably would have taken Bryce Young if they had the first overall pick. Because the size thing seems to be an issue. And Frank Reich was very conservative. There's lots of screen passes. There were lots of short passes. He did look good on throws 3 to 10 yards over the middle of the field. But his throw to the sidelines weren't good on comeback routes, on deep outs. He had a pair of interceptions. Those weren't good either. You know, he was going through his progressions and he didn't see people drifting into the guys that he would eventually lock on. I guess he can get better at that. The biggest issue, when he's under pressure, you can tell that because of his size, he is uncomfortable fully taking a step into his throws. You can just tell. And it makes sense, right? I mean, if you're 5'10", 5'9", whatever he is, a big guy's bearing down on you and you don't want to get hurt, how can you step into a throw with somebody bearing down on you? And again, Bryce Young even thought he sucked. I'm not saying this means Young's going to be a bust, but I feel pretty good about the Houston Texans having C.J. Stroud instead of Bryce Young. As far as C.J. Stroud, going back and watching him, there were moments where you could tell that Stroud was moving a little bit more slowly. And I would say in terms of like finding the open guy than he needed to. And that's something he's going to have to work on. But I did think that the accuracy was there. I did think he showed some of the escapability that we knew he was capable of, though he did get sacked 5 times. He's going to need a better offensive line performance. And I do think he is hamstrung by the receivers that he is working with. But I am power ranking him second of all of the rookie quarterbacks that we saw last Sunday after watching things back. Number 1 of these 3, it's Anthony Richardson. He looked best slightly, and it's mainly because he just seemed more decisive and more confident. Sometimes to his own detriment. He is running like a crazy person that might get hurt. I mean, he did technically miss the last couple of downs of the game when they were down 10 points because he was just hurling his body at defenders, like trying to run through 3-4 guys to get a touchdown. But he runs with power. He is difficult to bring down. And I think when compared to Bryce Young, you'll notice that when Richardson is under pressure, Richardson can still sling it even if he's not able to step fully into his throws in a way that Bryce Young cannot. That throwing power, I think, is going to be really important for Richardson. And I think there are a couple of moments where you could argue that maybe he wasn't seeing things as quickly as he needed to, but he is dangerous at every moment. And I think the fact that he has Michael Pittman as a wide receiver to throw to, a guy who I probably haven't given enough respect to, he felt very confident throwing the football to Pittman. So I think Richardson, of all 3 of the guys, looked best. I do think that Richardson has the best wide receiver to throw to in Michael Pittman. Of all of these guys, the Panthers really have nobody. The Texans truly have nobody at this moment in time. But that's how I'd power rank it to this point. Number 1, Anthony Richardson. Number 2, C.J. Stroud. And number 3, in a wide margin between 2 and 3, Bryce Young. There you go. Once again, power rank the rookie quarterbacks that I saw this past Sunday. 1, Anthony Richardson. 2, C.J. Stroud. Those 2, both 21 years old. We don't see that very often, playing against each other on Sunday at NRG Stadium. That's, I think, a fun game worth going to. Say you like the football. I'm sure there are some cheap tickets out there. I know that they were doing that FOSO thing, fear of sellout. Relax. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I think it'll actually be an entertaining game on Sunday. I think Richardson's fun to watch at the very least, and I thought Stroud showed some signs of progress. The problem is the offensive line has some issues, and of course, he's a rookie quarterback. Stroud had some interesting comments yesterday. I know that some people on the Twitch don't think of him as being the most gifted with his words. I'm actually starting to disagree. It does get it. I'll be honest, as a non-religious person, every single press conference opening the same way. But hey, to each their own. If he's got faith, good for him, especially with all he's been through. Anyway, this is CJ Stroud talking about how to have a successful offense, you need to have patience.
Just practice. I mean, everything takes practice. Things don't happen overnight. And even though we would love them to, creating a successful offense it takes patience. And that's something that I feel like, of course, no one wants to hear. Even I don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. And it's just being better on my part. I have to control what I can control and be as best as I can, getting guys in and out the huddle and things like that. So I think just practicing harder and making it game like as possible in practice, because you can't really mimic a crowd like Baltimore, a crowd like a away NFL game. You got to go out there and do it. But you can try to mimic that, and that's what we did as best we could, and now we're going to learn from that. So just practicing better and just getting better on my part is what I got to do.
Stroud wasn't the reason they lost on Sunday. I think it was largely the offensive line. I liked some of the things that were put in play. I thought he got more confident as time went on. I think that's been the promising thing that we have seen through every single preseason game to the next preseason game to the next preseason game. There have been steps forward. And we'll see if there's another step forward on Sunday. This Colts defense did all right job against the Falcons. Excuse me, not against the Falcons. I thought, all things considered, against the Jaguars, I thought they did an okay job. They did have an interception of Trevor Lawrence. But we'll see. We will see how this Texans offense looks. They had to put Noah Brown on the injured reserve, so he's going to miss at least the next 4 weeks with an injury. And some people are getting excited about the possibility for Tank Dell to step up in his wake. There is a video that went viral. I believe Drew Doherty of the Houston Texans tweeted it out, of Dell just running routes and looking unbelievably quick. I think my buddy Seth Payne said that, it looked like they were CGI'd. And I thought to myself, you know what? It does. He looks super quick. I hope they find a way to work him into the offense. This is D'Amico Ryans yesterday when asked if there is a plan that involves Tank Dell a little bit more moving forward.
Tank fits just like he's done before. I mean, you'll see Tank get more snaps, but Tank has done a good job of what he's been given. He's made plays for us, and we expect to see the same thing this Sunday.
So vague. Of course.
Feed him bleep. Keep him in the dock.
That's true. That's true, Sean. I forgot. That I actually like it when he does this. I like it. CJ Stroud is not feeding us bleep, though, and that is surprising.
Yeah, he's too nice to feed us bleep, I feel like.
I think eventually he'll get into feeding us bleep.
Yeah, I think that's a year 2, year 3 thing.
But him saying, I want to go for it right away, I like hearing that. I like it. A little humanity from the guy. Some more texts on the most interactive sports talk show in Houston. Talking a little NFL. We rarely do that because of the Astros being so good. A texter says, let's please all remember how Trevor Lawrence was awful his entire rookie year. How about now? I think Trevor Lawrence is good. I think Trevor Lawrence has been put up on a pedestal far too high, if that makes sense. Okay, I think Justin Herbert is better than Lawrence. I think Herbert has also been put on a pedestal that is a little bit too high. Lawrence threw 4 interceptions in the first, quarter of a playoff game. We're supposed to just forget that? I think he's a little careless, Lawrence. I think he's got all the things that you want in a quarterback, that's for sure. And I am interested to see what Calvin Ridley's going to do. Ridley looked really good against the Colts. Against the Colts. But let's not crown Trevor Lawrence just yet, just because we want to, because he's placed in a small market.
Yeah, it is interesting, though, with all the Brady, Roger, well, not Rodgers, I guess, but kind of. But Brady, Rodgers, Roethlisberger, all the old guys paid in a few years ago now. But there really is no young or all the good quarterbacks are super young, is what I'm saying. All the Dak Prescott's, Kirk Cousins of the world. No one's going to sit here and be like, yeah, my 5th best quarterback in the league is? It's this guy. So it is an interesting spot where the top of all these lists are guys like Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and these young guys, where even Josh Allen, he's not a complete player yet.
People love to crown people early.
Jalen Hurts is like third, fourth in most lists, and he played good for 1 year.
I love what I saw from Hurts last year. He sucked on Sunday. I've loved what I've seen from Josh Allen for the most part the last couple of years. He has sucked for a couple of months. Was it due to an elbow injury? That's what we were all saying at the end of last year. It is interesting the way that we crown quarterbacks as quickly as we do. But you should be a little hesitant with that.
But there is a thing of like, well, what is like Josh Allen? Like he's still like even with all the injuries, all the turnover concerns, basically after he got hurt. It's still like, I don't know, he's still like the fifth best. Like you still can't really put him that low. And that's what happens. It's like Trevor Lawrence is like, yeah, he's talented. A lot of guys aren't that talented and don't show the flashes that he shows. So he's like the seventh best quarterback in the league, even though it's like, again, had one good year.
Right.
Kind of a bad playoff game, but that's still like when you say the guy's the seventh best quarterback in the league, it's not the same as like 10 years ago, where like the seventh best quarterback in the league was like Phil Rivers or someone where it's like, I know exactly what I'm getting out of this guy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you there. And look, hey, there is better quarterback play across the NFL, so maybe our standards are raised a little bit higher. I know my standards are high because I've seen greatness firsthand, and it's different. Why you should be listening to me when it comes to football stuff. This is a text. I don't know if I should believe this text. Paul, former Wheelhouse co-host, Cody Stutes disagrees with you. He always thought the Texans made a mistake drafting C.J. Stroud and should have drafted Bryce Young because he felt Bryce Young has a stronger arm than C.J. Stroud. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe that text. I'd have to ask Cody that.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone could say that Bryce Young had a stronger arm than anybody.
Yeah, he has like a decent arm.
It's not bad. It's
he
not
has like an average
arm.
NFL arm.
It's not Chad Pennington, but Stroud and Richardson clearly have better arms.
Yeah.
The way that they can throw it downfield is effortless. And with Young, I think it's partly due to his size and the fact he can't step into some of these throws with these guys bearing down on him. Maybe that changes over time. Like that is an obstacle for him right now.
When you were watching the All-22, did Bryce Young still look like a kicker out there?
He looked less like a kicker, but it's zoomed out on the All-22.
Okay, so everyone looks smaller.
So everyone looks kind of smaller, yeah. Another text. Why does everyone talk about how bad the Texans trade could be, losing their next year pick, but nobody talks about Carolina prying multiple firsts and a star player, DJ Moore, for Bryce Young? Because they traded for a quarterback as opposed to trading for a defensive lineman. It's a double standard.
But they still, didn't impress me. They still might be down there. They might be giving away a top 5 pick to the Bears.
We'll see. I agree. They do not look good. They do not.
Like right now, just again, this is based off of one game for each team and a little bit of the preseason, I guess. But I think the Texans are better than the Carolina Panthers.
I actually agree.
They'll play each other in a month or so, or maybe a little bit longer than that. But we will see.
There were so many there were training wheels on the training wheels for the Panthers offense on Sunday. It was so basic. And then when they finally started throwing it downfield, it wasn't working. And I don't know if that's on Bryce Young or if it's on the offense or on the receivers. Another text. I think this is a bit extreme. Guys, the fact that anyone thinks Bryce Young is better than Stroud or Richardson is a complete joke. That kid was lucky to play the most talented team in college football in his career. Texas beat that kid's ass last year if viewers doesn't get hurt.
Great text.
Did you text that in?
Yes.
Look, Young won them that game, and he did not have that much help around him. I think it's possible to be one of the best players in college football and for it to not work out at the next level. Did we not say, work ethic aside, I think there are some similarities between Manziel and Bryce Young to an extent.
Just like the size-wise?
It's the size. It's the fact that they were very elusive, but it's harder to escape people. And if you're smaller, the advantage Kyler Murray has on a guy like Bryce Young, Kyler Murray is exceptionally fast.
Yeah.
And obviously he's got his off-the-field stuff where you wonder how committed he is to football. But with Murray, he can escape just about everything. With Young, you can't quite do that. It's not like he's a statue back there, but with the fact that he's smaller and based off of what I'm watching, he's like having a hard time stepping into throws. I just wonder if this is actually going to work out, and I feel better about the Texans getting Stroud. I do. I'm not crowning Stroud like some are saying on the text line. I'm not doing that. Nope, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, if we're power ranking what we saw week 1, and it's one game too, so can't go too crazy over it. Richardson's 1, Stroud is a close 2, and Young is a decided 3rd.
Yeah, I do think his size without the Kyler Murray athleticism is kind of an issue because I don't know who the other analog in recent NFL history is for short quarterback that makes it work that isn't Drew Brees. And he's kind of the only one. Because
Russell Wilson?
you get to Baker Mayfield real fast.
Russell Wilson.
Also great athlete.
Exactly. Wilson was doing crazy stuff before he fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
And
young
easy to
Wilson
forget
was
that.
Awesome.
And I have my own personal stuff with Russ where he just annoys the hell out of me, the teammate he is after, experiencing that. But I used to love watching that guy do figure eights behind the line of scrimmage. And there was a moment in time where I thought he was arguably the second best quarterback in the NFL. It was in the 2019 season early on. He was awesome at that beginning of that season. Wheels fell off second half of the year.
Quick thing about Russell Wilson. Did you see his team photo for the Broncos this year?
Do I want to see his team photo?
Can I just tell you what he's wearing in it?
I guess.
He's wearing a jersey like normal NFL players do. Mm-hmm. He's also wearing eye black.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
In the picture?
Let's team picture.
In like the headshot picture.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. It's a hard on move, but I'm okay with that.
Yo, that's why. It's
okay. Photo day. It's team photo day. Come on.
But he put on eye
you want to look like you look like on the field?
To step in front of a green screen and take a picture.
There's much more cringeworthy stuff with Russell Wilson, like his football-shaped bread, the concussion water. Like there's a lot more.
I'm just saying that this isn't not a good sign.
It's on brand.
Yes. I guess that's what it is. I hoped he would change a little bit. He would get shamed into being a normal guy.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Has not worked.
Two other rookies I wanted to touch on really quickly, and I'll be honest, I did not study the film for these guys because watching the trenches is hard for somebody with ADD like myself. But the other two rookies that I think we're going to focus on over the course of this year for our Rookie Watch segment are going to be Will Anderson, who the Texans took 3rd overall, and Jalen Carter, who the Philadelphia Eagles took, 8th, 9th overall. Both look good. I think that Carter has more help around him in Philadelphia. We talked about the defensive lineman earlier. He was ranked 2nd among defensive tackles in pass rush win rate on Sunday, and I'm taking a look right now at the statistics he had as far as quarterback hits, and he did have one quarterback hit. He had one sack. He had a tackle for a loss. He was all over the place in that game. He really was good. He does have help with Jordan Davis, the other Eagles first-round pick that's right next to him. Like, they've got a lot of talent on the defensive line, so that helps him out. But I thought Will Anderson played very well against a exceptionally mobile quarterback, much more mobile than Mac Jones on Sunday. He did have a sack, and Anderson was tied for 5th among edge rushers in pass rush win rate Sunday. People are going to bitch and moan about that trade where the Texans gave up their own pick to trade up instead of giving up the Browns pick to trade up and eventually take Anderson. But they loved Anderson. They were never probably going to take Jalen Carter, even if it could have worked with Jalen Carter and D'Amico Ryans. And Carter might end up being the best defensive player in this year's draft. But I feel like both of those guys played well, so there's nothing to fret about, if you will, about missing on a guy.